This video is on solving equations, which of all the ideas on that pre-assessment, I would say this one's most important because it comes up throughout the entire year pretty constantly and consistently. It shows up on homework, on quizzes, on tests. Being able to solve an equation is really important, okay? Especially linear equations, which we'll talk about in this video, okay? Now, instead of giving a formal lesson or explanation on how to do these, I'm just going to do several and talk through them. And I hope that'll be the way that'll make the most sense, is by me just talking through how to do several problems. Okay, the first one we'll do is t plus 15 is equal to 25. Okay, this is thought of as a one-step equation because only one thing is happening to t. So I only have one step before I'm done. Okay, and 15 is being added to t. Now, the way we solve an equation is by undoing everything that's being done to t. Okay, and by using the order of operations to do it. Now, how do I undo, or what's the opposite of adding 15? And the answer is subtracting 15. Okay, so if I subtract 15 from both sides of my equal sign, both sides of the equation, then plus 15 minus 15 equals 0. That's convenient. And so t is equal to 25 minus 15 is 10. So my answer is 10. Now, it's a really good idea to get in the habit of checking your work. So if I plug 10 in for t plus 15, does that equal 25? Well, 10 plus 15 is equal to 25, and so yes, it does. Another problem is 12a is equal to 36. Again, a one-step equation, only one thing is happening to a, and we're multiplying by 12. So the opposite, or to undo multiplying, the opposite of multiply by 12 is to divide by 12. Okay, and a is equal to, let's see here, 36 divided by 12 is 3. Okay, so check my work. 12 times 3 is equal to 36. Okay, that's correct. Now I know at this point, plugging in your answer into your equation doesn't seem like it's very important or useful, but as the problems get longer and more complicated, this will become much more important. It's a good idea to always check your answer. Okay, a problem like x squared is equal to 73. Now, a little more complicated, but still a one-step equation. Only one thing is happening to x, and that thing is squared. So to undo a squared, you have to do the opposite. So what is the opposite of squaring something? And the answer is taking the square root. So I'll take the square root of both sides of the equation. Okay. And the square root of 73 on my calculator is 8.544. Okay. Now there's kind of a tricky thing that happens with square roots. When you have x squared is equal to a number, the answer is 8.544, but it's also negative 8.5442. Okay, and the reason is because if I take the negative 8.544, a negative times a negative equals a positive. So negative 8.544 times negative 8.544 is a number that's really close to 73. Okay, so you need both the positive and the negative, which is what this symbol means. Okay, so my answer is plus or minus 8.544. Okay, now some ones that aren't single-step equations, a little more complicated. I should say longer, not complicated. All right, I'm going to use my order of operations to know how to simplify this. There's no parentheses, no exponents. There is some multiplying, but I can't do the multiplication yet. So the first thing I can do is add and subtract from left to right. So I will combine these two together. 14 minus 6 is 8, plus 2h is equal to 18. Now, at this point, there's two things I could do, and it's kind of hard to know which one I should do. I could, get rid of the plus 8, or I can get rid of the multiply by 2. Now, although you could do either one at this point, keep in mind that if we divide it by 2, we have to divide every term by 2, which can be a little complicated, especially if you don't like working with fractions and decimals. Usually what's the easiest thing to do is to get rid of the plus or minus number first. Okay, that usually is simpler for us, and so we'll do that. So the way that you get rid of the plus 8 is by doing the opposite, subtracting 8 from both sides of the equation. Now keep in mind that I'm doing it to both sides of the equation, not every term. So there's purposefully nothing right here. So 8 minus 8 is 0, and I'm left with 2h is equal to 18 minus 8 is 10. Okay, now it looks more like a one-step equation. The way I undo multiply by 2 is by dividing by 2. And h is equal to 5. Okay, let's give you a few more. Let's do a problem like 5x plus 3 is equal to 3x minus 7. Okay, problems like this will show up in this first chapter even, and so it's important that you know how to do these. The first thing, now if we use our order of operations, there's nothing really I can, parentheses, there's no exponents, there's no multiplying or dividing I can do, there's no even adding or subtracting I can do to simplify this any more than it currently is. What I'll need to do is combine the like terms, okay? And what I typically do is I move the x's first. You could do it either way, but I typically do the x's first. And what I do, although you can move them on either side, what I will often do is take the smaller one, okay, the one that has fewer x's, and I move that one to the other side, because that kind of eliminates sometimes working with negatives. So if I want to move my 3x to the other side to combine it, I only do the opposite of 3x, or subtracting 3x from both sides of my equal sign. Okay, so if this cancels out. 5x minus 3x is 2x, plus 3 is equal to negative 7. Okay, and then in my next step, I will get rid of this plus 3. And I will do that by doing the opposite, minus 3. And let's see here, negative 7 minus 3. If I have negative 7 and I go more negative, it's going to be negative 10. And divided by 2, x is equal to negative 5. All right, now on this one, because we've done so many steps, it's a good idea for us to check our answer. And I have 5 times negative 5 plus 3, and to see if that's equal to 3 times negative 5 minus 7. Okay, 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, plus 3 is negative 22. See if that's equal to 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, minus 7 is negative 22. Okay, so that works. So the work isn't really clear down there, but that's not really important for my answer anyway. But it does work. That negative 5 is the correct answer. Okay, I'll just give you one more. Let's do a problem like 2x plus 14 is equal to x plus 8. Again, I need to combine my x's together and my numbers together, and I will move the smaller x. Okay, so this is the smaller x. I'll move that to the other side by subtracting x from both sides. This cancels. 2x minus x is equal to x, or 1x, plus 14 is equal to 8. I will then move my 14 by doing the opposite of adding 14, which is subtracting 14. And x is equal to let's see here, 8 minus 14 is a negative 6. And the answer is x is equal to negative 6. Okay. To check my work, I will plug that back in. 2 times negative 6, whoops, plus 14 is equal to negative 6 plus 8. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 plus 14. Negative 12 plus 14 is 2. Negative 6 plus 8 is 2, and so that works. And negative 6 is my answer. Okay. This video was about solving equations. I did several and talked you through them. To me, the basic idea that I use over and over and over again is to undo what's happening to our variable. Okay. Usually in terms of opposites, to kind of unravel and find out what our variable is equal to. Okay. Again, it's always a good idea to check your work, check your answer. If you find a mistake, then go back and try it again, or look it over, see if you can find a mistake that you've made.